Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode on the official Hermitcraft Modsauce server. I gotta start this one off, this episode today, with a little bit of a chat to you guys. I've been receiving a lot of negative comments and attention. Well, I say a lot, probably just a few people making themselves loud, if you know what I mean. But I've been receiving some negative feedback on this series, and it makes complete and utter sense. You know, I do not know what I'm doing with these mods at all. I'm not going to play like I'm an expert or anything like that. And some of you guys really like that. Some of you like that, you know, I don't really know what I'm doing and I'm learning it step by step, which is good for you because you guys like me are vanilla players and all of this is strange and new and very different from how vanilla works. But then there's some of you that know the mods inside out that are complete experts and you get frustrated every time you see me do something that you don't like the way that I'm doing it. And I've been finding it hard to, you know, learn these mods. I really struggle to learn new things. I really struggle when people tell me how to do things. I've had DMAC and some of the other guys on the server just explain the mods to me and it doesn't work. I have to learn by doing things the slow and tedious way and figuring them out for myself, and that's the only way I'm going to be able to make some progress in this. Now at the same time, playing around in here has been fun so far, but I've been feeling like it hasn't been too much of a base feel. It doesn't have that Minecrafty thing where you get going, where you build your own little project and it expands. It just feels like a bit of a mess around here, to be honest. And I've decided that what I want to do is get my own base going, get something that I really like, that I'm really happy with how it looks, and just do our little projects down there and maybe take a different approach to them. So I've had this idea for a base and I've actually started construction on it, and I decided that being me, I can be very meticulous and OCD, which isn't the right term to use, but you know what I'm talking about, with projects and doing things, and I had to get away from that. I had to just figure out what I wanted to do without putting too much thought into it, you know, kind of take a relaxed approach, which I have done. So I headed out in this direction and I thought we've got to find a location for our base and I've got to be not too fussy. By the way, I love this ender pearl thing. However, sometimes the ender pearl lands behind you like that. So whenever you throw it, you've got to turn around and look for it. So I was heading out here and I thought, first thing that pops into my head I'm going to do. And I looked at this thing right here. I saw this sticking out of the ground and I thought, that's where our base is going to be. And what we're going to do is over time we're going to change the ores that you see here into diamond ore. As I get more stuff like that, we're going to make this look like, you know, a gem or a crystal sticking out of the ground, something like that. And I thought, yep, let's do it. And this will be the entrance to our base. So in here we have a elevator block. If we hold down shift, that'll take us down a level. And down here we're going to have like a little foyer area, kind of entrance. Maybe look at the statues mod, put a few trophies and mob heads, things like that in here. Just a little kind of base area, and then down below is where I've started construction on the base. So hold down shift, we go down to the next level, and this is the room that I've built so far. I think it looks pretty nice, right? It's not too big, it's not too bold, it's alright, I like it, it's nicely detailed, and I tell you what, I have spent an absolute ton of time in a creative world just building thing after thing after thing and really trying to get something that I like. So let's talk about this room a little bit. We've got these wooden oak wood, you know, paths that lead off in each direction, and they're going to go into different rooms. And this is the plan. All the little things that I want to do, like the cow farms and the mob spawners that we've built so far, they're going to be moved over here into the base, and we're going to put them in little rooms, and they're all going to go along in these corridors. So you'll go through, and on the other side there'll be a room. You can go straight through to the next one. And the idea is to aim for automation, to have things automated to the point where we don't really need to visit them. Somewhere we'll have a control room where, you know, we can turn everything on and off, and then we'll have a storage room to send everything to as well, which is what I'm probably going to be doing this episode, but I want to do a little bit of work here first of all. So as I said, I spent a lot of time, and this is what I came up with. I even built a couple of things here, like in actual survival mode, and then ripped them all down again. So I really have spent a lot of time just trying to get a bit of a groove going. So in this room right here, we've got dirt on the ground. You can see I've used lots of the different textures. I think there's 4 in total, and I've just kind of randomized them, which adds a nice level of detail, I think. Then for the walls, what we have are 2 stone materials, and they go diagonally. So if you just look where I'm clicking, they go up like that. I've done the same thing again, and then they just alternate. And then I've added a little bit of detail here with some marble and this nice stone pattern, and it kind of breaks it up well. Then for the ceiling, we've used some cobblestone bricks, I do believe, and mossy cobblestone, and that just kind of adds a little bit of detail. There's 2 types of cobblestone up there. And then these are iron blocks, and they're on carpenter's slabs. So they look like grills, they look like vents or something like that. And I felt like having these plants underneath was kind of fitting. So the plants are just there as a little bit of detail. I picked some of the darker, you know, more natural colours and then we've put down dirt blocks, and we've added these spruce panels on the side because they're carbon blocks. Now there's a little bit more detail work I want to do in this room. Oh yeah, and the other bit is concrete, by the way. If you smelt gravel, you get concrete. You can use it with chisel to make that texture, and then I've got glowstone there in the middle, and I think that looks really nice and kind of clinical, kind of a little bit dark, and we might use that a little bit more in other rooms. But that's basically everything right there, and what I'd like to do now, and what I'm very unprepared for, is just a little bit more detail work in here, because I think detail is important, and this is something I want to do with the base. I want to get everything to feel nice and detailed, and I want everything to look good. And I don't see my carpenter's blocks. There. These ones are the ones that change into those ones, but I don't see the square ones. I could have swore I had some of them. I put them in that chest? No. Where's my ender pouch? My ender pouch isn't in my inventory either. There it is. I managed to put it in the chest. Maybe it's in here. And it's not. Okay, so I've got to make me some of those carpenter's blocks. Would you believe it? It's dirt, of all things that we need right now. I've actually had this a lot while I've been working down here. You see, I've been sending all of the dirt and cobblestone that I get from digging out this big room. You can see it's really big, and that's made very easy by these tools right here. But I've been sending it all back using the ender chest that I have up above that sends it to the storage system. And then I found myself at this point where I'm like, wait a minute, I need to use the cobblestone and dirt, so I have to go and dig it back out again, which is a little bit silly. So anyway, ways we can add extra detail. We can use the carpenter's blocks, and I am considering putting a few down maybe around here and having some lighting underneath it, because the lighting from above, I think it makes the room look nice, but mobs would be able to spawn in here, so maybe there's something else we could use to prevent that, like the magnum torch. We need a chisel on this dirt. I really like that you can change dirt of all blocks. You know, you didn't think you'd use dirt in building too much, but now that there's lots of these nice textures, it really does kind of add something. So we're just going to pick out 2 textures right here. That one, and we'll go with this one over here. If you can tell, my voice is a little bit funky today. So we can fill this thing up with dirt. In fact, we could use any material, and then we can place another little layer on top of it like that. So with a few of those around the place, we just add a tiny bit of detail, which I think looked really nice when I did this in the creative world. Where did that go? All the way over there. So I'm going to do that a few times around the place, and then I'm going to do it on the plant plots as well, because I thought I'd experiment and see what you can do with this. You might think, if you've got a slab on top like that, we'll call it a slab, then you might not be able to put an item down like this, whereas that is actually already a carpenter's block. So yeah, that makes things nice and easy, doesn't it? Let's grab our plant back so we can then put one of those on top, and you can still put the plant on top of it, which I thought was really cool. So a couple of these around the place. Maybe we'll use different textured dirts as well. We'll just add a tiny little bit of detail, and already with just a few blocks there, it looks pretty good. But I'm going to go around the room and just do this a fair few more times on each side, and then we'll come back and look at it when it's done. Oh, that's awesome. I've been looking at these and thinking, when you put down the little thing on top of it, you then got to go and break the whole thing to remove it, whereas what you can actually do is just put a block on top of it and then break it. That's good to know. Ah, did you see that? I didn't need to break the plant that time as well. Wow, I'm learning so much. I've spent a lot of time doing this in creative mode, and I'm learning a few more things, which isn't too surprising really. When you do things in a practical sense, you often do learn something, but there you go. Detail is looking good in this room. Okay, that's enough of that. I like this, but it does look a little too obvious on the ground, so leave a comment and let me know what you think. Definitely works over here with the plants just having it not always level, but on the ground it's a bit obvious, if that makes sense. But if you've got any other ideas for details that we can add into this room, then let me know, because I know there's so much stuff and so many things that can make it look a little bit nicer. But I think that is a fantastic start for our new base. And what we're going to have to do next, I think, is focus on the storage room. And that means I'm going to have to do a lot more digging, a little bit of planning. I've been working on the design for it, and there's a few more things that I've got to finalise. So I'm going to go into my creative world and figure things out, and I'll come back with you when I've got it all, figured out. So most of what we're going to be building has now been designed, and I've got to say, I've got a really good feeling about this. Let me turn around and do the grand reveal. Check that out. Doesn't that look lovely? I think that looks really, really nice. I've been working on this for some time. This is just one part of what we're going to be building here, and it's been a while since I last recorded, so I think I was telling you my plans about building a storage area. Well, this isn't going to be the storage bit. This is actually going to be like a control room above the storage area. So the other side of this, by the way, is the main room. I'm loving how this is looking, by the way. I think one of the things that works really well here is the light levels. I want to kind of keep them the same. The lighting is all in the roof, and the same thing goes for this room over here, actually. You know, with the exception of the glowstone on the side here, it's quite moody. In fact, before I put in the glowstone, it was very moody, but the light levels are just right in this room, I feel. Anyway, this space in between, it's going to be the same on every side. I'm not sure what we're going to do like on the edges here. I do have some plans to perhaps build like an automated doorway here. Maybe there's some glass, and when you walk up to it, it comes down. I'm pretty sure that's possible to do in the mods because there is a player detector, so you can detect when a player's nearby. You approach it, and then it will activate some redstone. That's something I got to look into on another day. But back here is supposed to be like corridors between each of the rooms. It's going to be the same thing on each side. If we have a room with like a farm in or some sort of thing in each side, then there's going to be a gap in between. And the reason for that is so that we can run wires around and things like that to get from room to room. Because this one right here is going to be the control room. So what I plan to have is some buttons on these glowstones with some signs and things like that, letting you know what it is you're doing or changing. And then for all the farms that I plan on building in this place, it's all going to be controlled by this room over here. So this one is going to be directly above the storage area. So this bit right here is actually going to be full of glass. And in the middle, we're going to have an elevator block, so you can go down to the room below. And then down there is going to be, 4 corridors going off. And that's going to be our storage system, which I have kind of designed. I feel like I still need to do some work on it. So we're going to focus on this bit up here for now. There are a couple of things about this that I do not like. These blocks right here, they don't join up for some reason. Now there is another block behind them, you can see it over there. And on these sides of the textures, they just don't join up, and it actually breaks it up a little bit. I love how they join, that's why I've used that texture. And so there's something right there that could be done with fixing or improving. I don't know if it's a bug or it's supposed to be like that, but it's kind of annoyed me a little bit. But anyway, this room right here is just going to be more of the same. We're going to have this going in each direction, and what I plan on doing is actually not having this at the end of each of those rooms. This is going to be like a dead end room, and then that means we'll have all of this wall with a little more height than what we have on these sides in case we need to do something different. But I am a little bit I don't know, hesitant about the size of this room. Like, it's going to be quite big to move around and get to everything, but I think I've just got to let it be what it is, because you can never really plan anything out fully, and trying to get the right size for all the things when you don't know how many farms and projects you're going to be doing in this space, it's never going to work, is it? So that's what it looks like for now. What I'm going to do next is actually just finish building these sides, and I never designed a roof bit right here as well, so I might try and do that in survival, see what I can come up with, but I've got a feeling we're probably going to be using the concrete and glowstone, kind of sticking to the theme. I really do like how they look, by the way. Anyway, we're going to build these 4 sides like I just described, and I'll be back with you in a moment. So, are you ready to see it? It looks amazing in here. Let's walk through and look at that. Doesn't that look lovely? I really love the scale and the size of this room. It looks really good. And, I just love it. Everything about it. It's looking really good. We've still got the middle to do up here on the top. Oh, and I've actually missed a bit over there as well. Well, I thought I'd finished doing everything but the middle here. We'll get to that in a moment. And I think when the middle is done and the roof there is filled in, it will look excellent. But it looks really nice in here. I love these stone bricks, just the 2 of them. They just seem to add so much detail, and everything looks just right around here. I'm liking it, I'm liking it. But anyway, the next thing that we're going to do is actually put in some glass at the bottom here. And I was just playing around, looking at the recipes and stuff. There's just so much stuff in these mods to learn about. It is ridiculous. So, in the creative world, I got myself something called thickened glass. No, that was it, edged glass, and it's made out of thickened glass. And the recipe it showed me in creative mode was different to what it showed me in survival. So you're supposed to put a chisel next to it like that, and that didn't work. And what you actually do is do this. But then I decided to press U over this and just check out the other uses for this. There's a whole bunch of stuff. But here, these ones are interesting. You can make golden edged glass and a few different patterns as well, like swirling glass, and I'm going to have to play around with these. There's even glowstone glass. I don't know if that emits light, but if it does, that'll be very useful. And just all of these look like they were worth playing around with. You know, you can make heart glass as well, which is pretty cool. There's lots of cool stuff here. And what I might do is basically change this. But for now, we're going to take this. I do not know if you can craft it backwards into the other stuff. Make quartz glass with it. That's the same stuff as before, I think. Doesn't look like you can craft it back, which isn't really a worry because it's only glass. It's not the most expensive of materials. It would be nice if you'd be able to craft it back, but unfortunately not. So, it's over this direction. Still not getting used to that. I think what we might need is some sort of colour indicator around the door here. Maybe we could use micro blocks and add like a strip, a very small strip that just goes around the edge there, and then you'd be able to see which direction you want to go, because we could colour code everything. But the next thing is to do this. I don't have an elevator block on me, by the way, but you'll be able to see. Oh, it disappeared. Oh, okay. That was unexpected. So my internet decided to drop out for a couple of minutes there, and we're back over here. So we've got to go and place down the glass again. I thought for a second there that we couldn't pick it back up. So let's just do that again and find out. Do I have no sound? No, I do have sound. There we go. Awesome. We don't even need to use Silk Touch on it. I love that. That's really cool. That one doesn't need to be down there. But anyway, we were just filling this in so you could see what it looks like. Now the clear glass, it's all right, but with this extra edge, I just feel like it's more noticeable that it's actually there, and especially when it wraps around the block in the middle. So this is going to be our elevator block to get down to the area down below, which we're probably not going to be building in this episode. You know what? I've spent such a long time in creative mode just coming up with the designs and building it, but I've got to say this one was a lot quicker than the other room, and I think I'm starting to get the knack for it. You know, when you do things consistently, they do become easier. So hopefully, if we keep on track with this idea of making rooms for our projects, I'll be able to keep my building in form, if that makes sense. But there you go, that's what it's going to look like. I think that looks really nice. However, with gold around the edge, I really do think it would fit, because this is kind of yellowish, yellowy brown, and then the gold, I was about to say gold stone, the glowstone looks like a golden sort of colour. In fact, you can get the same texture when you use chisel on gold. So I think it fit well into the room. But we've got one more thing to do, which is the roof. I've got to fill in that bit over there as well. And I just wanted to talk about carpenter's blocks a little bit. I just found out a whole bunch more stuff you could do with those by checking out what you can do with them in here. In fact, I've probably learnt this already. I tend to forget things because there's just so much new stuff to learn. But you can make all kinds of things. What's that right there? Collapsible block. Don't even know what that is. You can make a daylight sensor. I assume you're going to be able to put your own texture on that. You can make ladders. I knew about that, but I didn't know about these safes, and I don't know if they store items, but I'm going to investigate that. Also, you can make flower pots. Now, I don't know if that's one you can apply a texture to, because, I don't know, that looks slightly different, but I guess we'll find out. We could do that right now, actually. Let's just hop up there, grab that crafting table, there it is, and just use 3 of these. There we go, carpenter's pots. Can we put our own custom texture onto it? Yes, we can. That is very good. That's good to know. That is a nice little bit of detail. I wonder if you can put this sideways on a block as well. No, you can't. It's just like a regular one. Anyway, there's lots of stuff for me to learn about here. I've got to start thinking about using these in the builds, because the amount of details we could add. You know, like this one right here, the button. I mean, buttons are really good for adding detail, but you're limited with your options, whereas with these, you can use any texture you like. I'm going to have to play around with it, and I'm just thinking down here in the main room we could add, I don't know, some little details like this. Let's see, what texture would go nice on that? Let's chuck that one on. Yeah, and that adds just the tiniest bit of detail, isn't it? I've got to keep all of this stuff in mind. But anyway, I am just getting a little bit lost in the mods here. Right, time for me to wrap things up. We're going to do this roof right here. I'm going to build it all in survival. Not going to go into creative. I'm probably going to use the concrete and the glowstone, but I will see what I can come up with. So I've gone for this, and I feel like actually there's a little too much glowstone up there. However, for that central block, we need something there. We need something fancy, and maybe something that hangs down a little bit. And I've got not too many ideas at the moment, but we could use a little bit of perhaps glass panels to come down. That kind of looks like a chandelier, but I'll leave that one. I'll think on that. But we need something special in the middle there, and I'm just wondering if doing it like this is going to look a little bit nicer, because we already have a lot of that texture in this room, and we don't want to overdo it necessarily. And already I'm thinking that's starting to look a tad better. Oh, no, that's in the wrong place. And so's that. There we go, let's take a step back. Not too much of an improvement, but it looks alright. Also, building that stuff was a little bit funny, because when you stand on top of it, it makes you move really fast. So I'm trying to stand up here and place down the glowstone, and look, I just tap forward and it makes you go all over the place, and now it's really derpy. But yeah, the concrete makes you go faster, basically. And I tried putting this in a carpenter's block to see if it would keep the property if you used a different texture on top of it, but unfortunately it doesn't, which is a little bit of a shame, but that's alright. Otherwise we would have had concrete in the middle here and then put this texture on top of it. But I think looks is important here, and we don't want to use blocks like that if they're not going to look well in the ground. But this room just looks awesome right now. And all I have to do really at the moment is just finish that side off there. So we'll get that finished off, and then I think we're done here. So we are kind of done here, and I'm just thinking there's room for more detail in this room. I feel like these bits over here, there could be something at the top here. I have no ideas at the moment, and I know there's tons of stuff in the mods that look really cool that I haven't got around to checking out yet. So if you have any ideas for what we could change here, be sure to leave a comment. I also found out something about these buttons. I put them on the side of this. I put the iron texture on it, but I felt like it was a little bit bold, and maybe we had something a little more subtle, it might look nice there. But also you get the edges as well, and the edges are quite dark, so it does pop out a little bit. But I thought that was a nice detail. And something else that I learned and forgot about, you can actually right click on these with a hammer and invert the output, or left click with them. There we go. So now that's actually on, that's powering that block, and when you press it, it's going to turn it off, which is something quite useful to know about. But I'm not going to leave that there. I feel like that needs a little bit more thought. Need to go into creative mode and play around with that a little bit more. But there you go. We've done a fair bit this episode, haven't we? This is like a new beginning. I'm trying to make the mod source a little more interesting, try and take a different approach. And I think building was the way to go, you know. This turned out to look really good. I love walking into this room. I could do it over and over again. It looks so good when it opens up. Awesome. I love this. Anyway, let me know what you think of it down there in the comments. As always, thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed it, please do leave a like, and I will catch you next time. Bye-bye.